Um, to answer your question, Raina, just to set a little bit of background on what Tiger, the brand, is all about, right? For very many years, Tiger as a brand has stood for confidence, fearlessness, and as the name suggests, we really want kids to be tigers in their own lives. Be the heroes of their own story, take control of what's happening around them. And the brand has always embodied these values and spoken to children with this attitude, right? And taking that forward, when we thought about how do we make it far more engaging, far more relatable for these kids that we're talking to, and it is largely a kids brand, right, Tiger? Um, what we came upon when we spoke to a bunch of these kids, their teachers, was the fact that on a daily basis, the opportunities they have to really show their bravery, their fearlessness, their confidence is in the context of bullying. While we are using the word bullying, it actually comes in very, very many forms that these kids see on a daily basis. They may or may not even realize that many of these situations that they are seeing themselves in are actually active bullying. But there's this almost everyday bullying that they face in some form or the other, even if it's in very, very subtle forms, right? And that's such a great opportunity for actually a kid to take control of his own narrative, to show that he's really a tiger kid. And that seemed to be a very relevant and universal pain point across for the children. So that's where the idea really came from. And we said, if you want the kids to be tigers in their own environments on a daily basis, bullying is something that they should learn about, be sensitized towards, first be able to recognize what is bullying, and then perhaps be able to take the right action to stand up to it. So the idea came actually from the brand idea that has existed for many years, talking to a certain kind of attitude amongst kids. And the Tiger Hero Hunt was really born out of that. Yes, very much. For a moment, I'm gonna like keep aside the business results and things like that, right? But if we were to talk to this consumer who is a child at the end of the day, maybe 6, 7, 8 years old, going to schools, what we've done interestingly with this campaign is made it very, very friendly to that audience. So, storytelling is the way in which the campaign itself has come alive. It's not the kind of campaign that an adult would see or relate to very well, right? Children largely learn through interactive, engaging means, and therefore, storytelling was identified as the way in which we would bring this campaign alive to them. What that's managed to do, and which is what we're seeing as feedback also, is one key leg of this campaign is a large school activation program that we're doing in relevant markets, where our representatives are going into schools in a very actively engaging storytelling manner. They're sensitizing children to what constitutes bullying. And what we are hearing from those schools is actually really encouraging. The teachers have, proactively sent us videos saying our children actually go through this on a daily basis, but we've never spoken about this because it's not part of any curriculum. It's not really part of an active teaching that many parents also do. I mean, I'm a parent myself. I do keep wondering what will really happen when my child comes to an age where he might face bullying in school or any other environment. But are there any active ways of teaching them how to stand up to it? I think there's still a lot that needs to be done there. And even if we are able to play a really small part there, I think that's a great place to begin. And that's where the feedback has honestly been really positive, with the school teachers, principals, coming up to us and saying, we're so glad that somebody has taken up this initiative. The other interesting thing in terms of feedback that we are getting is if you have gone through the user journey of the campaign that we are doing. So you scan the QR on the pack and it leads you through a certain WhatsApp chatbot journey, which again is very intuitive and very easy for even kids and parents to go through. We have actually received over 7,700 stories that kids have proactively shared with us about the kind of bullying that they have faced. And, if you just sit and read through those stories, I think that's where the real impact is felt. The fact that they are able to have a conversation about it now, even though it is to a brand, um, I mean, hopefully that's the first step of being able to have a conversation about it with their parents, their teachers. Just the number of stories and the kind of stories we've got from kids is really heartening to see. So we, like I said, we talk to kids actively as the target consumer with this. I mean, as would be the case with any campaign, I'm sure most brands run a brand track to really see if imagery metrics are moving, to be able to correlate what the campaign has done with the business impact that we might be seeing. So it's that typical standard stuff that any marketer would deploy to track brand impact or brand imagery impact and business impact thereof. But like I said, I mean, in this particular campaign's case, the impact is really the former that I spoke about, right? But everything else is fairly standard otherwise. There is obviously some success metrics that we've defined for the business, the brand imagery, and we are continuously tracking movement on those. So, one of the key insights actually that led us to this form of delivery for the campaign was that children actually learn a lot better when the teaching is not instructional, when the teaching comes to them in a way that's easily palatable, that is engaging, and therefore storytelling as a format was identified from the very beginning as a means to deliver this message to children. Right? Once that got fixed, the media plan therefore started building itself around that. So, be it being able to feature in Champak through a comic story, or even the WhatsApp journey that we have is a very storytelling kind of a journey. The school engagement program that I spoke about, there are people going and doing storytelling sessions to again sensitize children about bullying. So that was really the key insight. And once we fixed that's the way we want the message to reach the end consumer, all the media choices actually came pretty much from that. So things that ended up being more two-way, more engaging, felt more relatable to children in their real world. So that's how we really went about making these choices. Of course, there is TV, which acts as the top of the funnel, large awareness generator for the campaign. But pretty much any other touch point is one that we've designed to make it as engaging as possible for children. No, but such a loved brand from our, I mean, I don't mean to say that you are part of my generation, but from my generation itself, right? And then it's obviously a format that allows for that storytelling insight to really come through in an engaging way. And what we're also doing, just to add a little bit to the whole Champak activity that we're doing, is children who actively share their stories with us. Now, children sharing their stories with us is actually at the end of the consumer journey, right? So you can participate in this even without having to actively share your story. But as I said earlier, we are still seeing a lot of children going all the way to the end of the funnel in terms of engagement and actively choosing to share their own story of bullying as well. Now, from among the children who do that, there are some stories that we are selecting to publish as comic strips in Champak, and therefore, there's a certain brag value that the child gets at the end of the day about his or her story being published in Champak. He or she is able to see themselves in a certain character in the comic strip. It gets personalized with their names printed. So it's able to stick within the storytelling means of deployment, but it's also able to give the children a way to really have some personalized engagement and interaction with the campaign. So that's the only other thing I would add to what Champak is delivering as a piece to all this. Actually, we do use AI pretty strongly today across multiple different facets of what we do as marketers. However, the only watch out I think is we always approach it from the perspective of it being a means to a certain end and AI not being the end in itself. So it's not AI for the purpose of AI, but if there are certain objectives that we have which can be effectively and efficiently delivered through AI, then we're pretty much adopting all of those in our ways of working today. Speaking of this particular campaign itself, the moment we said storytelling and comic stylized storytelling was going to be the way in which the campaign would become visible to end consumers, it was very easy for us to sort of execute a film, for example, through AI. You see a tiger character on our packs today. It's that same tiger that comes to life in the film, right? And AI therefore made it much easier for us to be able to build that visual world. If a comic strip were to come into motion, um, it was fairly easy for us to deliver that through AI. So, as I said, AI not as an end to itself, but it was able to deliver to the end objective of storytelling in this campaign, and therefore lent itself very well to it. This particular campaign, of course, is children focused, but as you said, there are many campaigns and many brands in the Britannia scheme of things where we actively try and communicate with a younger audience. There are two, three key pillars to how we really build our communication and engagement initiatives with the younger audience, right? So, one of them is clearly the fact that the way they engage with brands today mandates that we need to become far more interactive, engaging, and far more two way. So it's not about me making a piece of communication and just hoping to show it to as many people as possible. I need to be able to invite the consumer into that conversation in some way. And, touching back upon one of the things we discussed earlier, with AI, that two-way communication actually has become so much easier today, right? That interaction, building a certain engagement value to things has become really easy. Pretty much all the experiences you will see us build off our packs today across multiple brands. If you see a QR code on any Britannia pack today, it will lead you to a certain journey which is rooted in that brand's world and that brand's proposition, but takes you to a really immersive experience. And therefore, these younger consumers are also able to experience brands in a very real way. So that's another thing which is quite unique to how this audience engages with brands. The other key leg is really if I'm able to personalize that experience and that journey, that's another win as well. Because at the end of the day, one more thing that AI easily enables, right? At the end of the day, if I'm able to see myself at the center of a certain story, that's far more compelling for me. So these are two, three things that we are actively coding into every campaign, every engagement that we build on many of our brands that are actively looking to talk to younger audiences. Our brands at large, I think one key focus area, and you'll see that coming into multiple conversations that we all as a team have on a daily basis, is how do we really make our brands very, very culturally rooted? So that's a very key focus area for us. And different brands may do that in very different ways, also depending on what are the markets in which those brands operate and so on and so forth. But cultural rootedness, cultural relevance, being because Britannia is at the end of the day over 100 years old in this country, right? And I think it would be fair to say that many of our brands have grown up with so many people in this country. And therefore, if there is a certain cultural understanding that these Britannia brands today carry, I think that needs to come alive pretty much in all the brand work that we do. So that remains a key focus pretty much across brands today. And it keeps coming up, as I said, in many conversations that we do as a team internally.